Okay, greetings class. This video is going to be on course project 4G. It's on page 334 in your textbook. The first thing we're going to do, as always, is we're going to get this student file. We go to this website. We click on, and you should know this by now. If not, it should be posted in the lesson deliverables. You're going to click on student data file. You're going to click on chapter 4. I always save it to my desktop so I know where it is. Now that it's saved to my desktop, I'm going to open that file. And usually I just drag out what I'm supposed to be working in. We're going to be working in 4G. So I'm going to click and shift click these three items and drag them to my desktop so it's there that I'm working. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to go open up the database. It wants us to go ahead and save the database as. We're going to do last name, first name. 4G. Okay, so I'm going to save the database as, and I just save it to the desktop so I'm familiar where it is. And it wants me to change all these with last name, first name. So we're going to right click and rename, press the home key, last name, first name. And all this that we're doing is all of step 1. Let's go ahead and drag the pane out so we can see all the naming. And that's the end of step 1. Okay, in step 2, it wants us to select the 4G table, community centers table. It wants us to copy and paste the table. So I right click, I copy, and then I right click and paste. It says some items that come up, right? It wants us to name the table, last name, first name. So let's take out this copy of. And last name, first name, 4G facilities. And it says paste the table as dialog box. Verify structure and data option is checked. Structure and data option is checked. Then we click OK. Folks, that's the end of step 2. Okay, what step 3 wants us to do is to copy and paste the parks table. So we're going to copy it. So I right click copy, I right click paste, and we're going to append the table. We're going to append it to an existing table. And we're just simply going to type that table that we want to append that data to. Right? We want to append it to 4G facilities. So we're merging the table into that existing table. We're going to open it up and verify that there's a merge there. We should see 5 records, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that does seem to be okay. Okay, so now we're working on step 4. We want to take the table that we just made, the facilities table, put it in design view, and it wants us to modify the entry field, right? We want to change the data type to currency. And then it wants us to change the field size to 20. So we're going to go down to that contact field where it's telling us to, so the entry field we change the data type to currency. In the contact field it wants us to change the field size to 20. We have to make sure that we're clicked on the data type in the contact field. So here's the contact field, here's the data type, and we want to change that field size to 20. And click out of that. Okay. Okay, now step 5, it wants us to add a new monthly pass field between the entry field and the contact field. So I just right click, I insert rows, I right click, then I selected insert rows. I'm going to add a new monthly pass. THLY pass field between these entry field and the contact field. And it wants us to use a data type, our data type as calculated. And then it says in the expression builder, we're going to build that expression. And the expression that it's looking for is entry fee. And that should come up because it's a field in our table already. Times 15. And the result type is currency. So here, the result type is currency. Just click out of that, and that should be done. Now we're on step 6. We're going to add a, below the phone number field, we're going to add a new field called direction. So in the direction, there's our new field. We're going to do a data type as attachment. We're going to type a description that's going to be the directions to the facility. Just click out of that and we're done. Now we're going to go to step 7. It says select the phone number, right? And it's telling us to, in the input mask, right? So I clicked once here on the data type. In the input masks, it wants us to type the following. Okay? And that basically is the format of the number, right? 3 and then 4, right? So you're dialing a number. That's the format that the number is to be accepted. We want to put a field size of 8. And we want to change the field property requirement to yes. So this is a required field that they must enter. It tells you in the book to print this step. Don't worry about printing the step. Okay, click out of there. So now what we need to do is, we're in step 8. We're going to go ahead and change the view to datasheet view. That's just to save it. We're going to go ahead and save it. Talks about all the calculations that may be lost or may not be lost. But that's okay. We went ahead and saved it. It's saying in this record, Biscayne Park record, we want to add an attachment, right? So it's one of the fields that we added. We're going to go ahead and click. I double clicked to add an attachment, right? That's our attachment field. You can tell by the paperclip. We're going to add an attachment, and we're going to go to where we saved our student files, which to me was on the desktop, and we're going to add the A40G Biscayne Park attachment and click OK. So now that has a 1 by it, that's the attachment by there. And step 9 is the same exact thing as step 8, but we're doing a different facility name. We're doing Hugo West Center. We're going to scroll over, and so I have to remember it's the 4th one down, otherwise I won't see it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go click on that attachment. I'm going to add the Hugo West attachment. When we need to know where we save these, I put mine on the desktop so it's easier for me to find. And click OK. So now we've added that attachment. Okay. We're going to move, that was step 9. Now we're going to move on to step 10. Step 10 is basically just we're going to create a new table in design view. So create a new table in design view. It wants us to add a field called Sport ID. It wants us to make the data type as auto number. And it wants us to make this the primary key. Well, I simply just right click on the column and select the primary key, or actually the row, not the column. So right click on the row and select primary key. And that's step 10. We're going to go ahead and move on to step 11. Step 11, we're going to enter a second field named sport. We're going to enter a third field named season. Season is a lookup wizard. So we're in the data type, we go to lookup wizard. We're going to type the values in ourselves. We're not going to have it pull from a table. We want to type the value in. We're going to click the value. We're going to type in spring, summer, and I'm hitting tab, winter, tab, fall. Click next. Now you want to make sure that this says season up here, not column or something else. Otherwise, it won't join it to that field. Now we're going to go ahead and click on the X. Ask us to save our database. We're going to name it last name, first name, 4G Youth Sports. I'm going to click OK. So we're just going to take a look at our 4G Youth Sports, right? And in that season, right, we can select. That's our lookup wizard. We did that. In step 12, we need to add the data in the sport name. That data is on page 334. I'm going to go ahead and pause it while I enter the data, and then I'll return back after the data is entered. But first, I'm going to do the first one, of course, so that you know. I just type in the word, right? It auto numbers T-ball. So sport ID is 1, the primary key. It orders that T-ball, and the season is spring. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest. Okay, so I've completed. It was just basically 5 records that I entered in, and then I picked a drop down and selected the season. Now what it wants us to do, it wants us to, and this is step 13 now, we're going to adjust the column width as needed, right? So we're just going to right click, field width, best fit, right? In this one we need probably more space, right? Right click, field width, best fit, field width, best fit. And that's pretty much the end of this lesson. You do not need to submit any type of electronical printouts. It's only the database. So once we're done with this, we're just going to file. We're going to save as database. So just want to close all those open tables, which is okay. And that's it, folks. And then you just submit it in Moodle. Good luck.